Everyone knows the story of Excalibur, the legendary sword in the stone, waiting for the chosen hero. A blade so powerful that only one destined king could pull it free. But what if I told you that Excalibur is just the tip of the iceberg? Let's break it down. In Japanese myth, some weapons are forged in fire. Others are gifted by gods. But Kusanagi was taken from the body of a monster. The story begins with the storm god Susanoo, who discovers an 8-headed serpent terrorizing a village. He defeats the beast, and as he cuts open its tail, he finds a blade. Not just any blade, one gleaming with divine power, already sharp, already perfect. That blade became Kusanagi, the grass-cutting sword, a weapon that could control the wind, redirect fire, and turn the tide of battle, not with brute force, but with elemental grace. Kusanagi wasn't meant to be a weapon of conquest. It became one of Japan's 3 sacred treasures, a symbol of imperial authority, legitimacy, and divine right to rule. To hold Kusanagi was to hold the storm itself. There's a famous tale where the sword is used during a trapped fire. A warrior draws Kusanagi, and with it, he doesn't slash or stab. He cuts the wind. He redirects the flames away from him, turning destruction into defense. It's a myth about intelligence over instinct, control over chaos. But like all legendary weapons, Kusanagi carries a warning. It's said the sword holds a kind of sentience, a will that aligns only with a worthy ruler. Those who sought it for power alone were met with misfortune. Storms would follow them. Battles would turn. The sword, in a sense, chose its master. To this day, Kusanagi remains shrouded in ritual and secrecy. It's rarely seen, kept within the imperial family, more legend than artifact. And maybe that's the point. Some powers are too potent to be displayed, too sacred to be wielded openly. Kusanagi teaches us that true strength isn't about taking life. It's about commanding the elements, understanding balance, and ruling with a calm hand. The Spear of Destiny exists in that fragile space between faith, legend, and human ambition. Also known as the Holy Lance, this simple Roman spearhead is said to be the weapon that pierced Jesus during the crucifixion. But its legend grew far beyond that moment. A prophecy emerged. Whoever possesses the spear and understands its power commands the destiny of the world. History shows a haunting pattern. Those who claimed the spear often rose to immense power and fell just as dramatically. Charlemagne carried it into battle. Roman emperors sought it. Napoleon tried to obtain it. Hitler reportedly believed in its power so deeply that he launched expeditions to find it. Whether the spear's power was divine, symbolic, or purely psychological, it changed hands through conquest, theft, and devotion, leaving a trail of empires in its wake. Unlike Mjölnir or Excalibur, this wasn't a weapon of magical strength or unbreakable material. Its power came from belief, from the human need to attach meaning to objects, to feel that history can be held in your hands. The Spear of Destiny raises a compelling question. Does an object hold power, or do we give it power by believing it does? Today, several lances across Europe claim to be the true spear. In Vienna, in Armenia, in the Vatican. Each is enshrined, protected, revered. Maybe it doesn't matter which one is real. What matters is that for centuries, people fought, prayed, and killed for the idea it represented.
Few weapons are as iconic or as misunderstood as Mjolnir. It wasn't just a hammer. It was a symbol of divine authority, a tool of both destruction and blessing, and, most importantly, a judge of character. In Norse mythology, Mjolnir was forged by dwarven smiths in the heart of a star. It could level mountains, summon thunderstorms, and was said to always return to Thor's hand when thrown. But its true power wasn't in its strength, it was in its discernment. Mjolnir could not be lifted by force alone. Only those it deemed worthy could wield it. A weapon, in other words, that chose its wielder. This idea echoes across cultures. The sword in the stone, the bow that only the true hero can string, but Mjolnir took it further. It was used not only to battle giants and protect the realms, but also to bless marriages, hallow ground, and even restore life. One end brought ruin, the other brought sanctity. What's fascinating is how this myth evolved. During the Viking Age, small hammer amulets were worn for protection, a symbol of Thor's guarding power. Later, when Christianity spread through Scandinavia, the Mjolnir symbol persisted quietly, a subtle nod to older beliefs. And then, of course, there's the famous story of the hammer being stolen, hidden away in the land of the giants, leaving the gods vulnerable. That tale asks a deeper question. What happens when the source of your power, your identity, your purpose, is taken away from you? Today, Mjolnir lives on in comics, movies, and modern myth. But at its core, it remains a story about worthiness, about power that must be earned, not taken. And if a hammer can choose who is fit to hold it, then perhaps the greatest power of all isn't strength, but integrity.
In Hindu cosmology, weapons are not merely tools of war. They are extensions of cosmic principle, of dharma, of order, of balance. And among them, none is more visually striking or conceptually profound than the sudarshan chakra. This is not a weapon held in the hand. It is a spinning, razor-edged disk of light orbiting the finger of the god Vishnu, the preserver of the universe. It moves at the speed of thought, flies across dimensions, and cuts through illusion, evil, and ignorance with the same effortless motion. The chakra does not simply destroy, it dissolves, removing what threatens cosmic balance, whether it be a demon, a deception, or a drought. It is both weapon and symbol, a wheel of time, a solar disk, a mandala of divine law. Legends describe it as unstoppable. Once aimed, it cannot be blocked, only endured or escaped. It returns to Vishnu only after its purpose is fulfilled, a celestial boomerang of fate. What makes the Sudarshan Chakra unique among mythical weapons is its intelligence. It acts with purpose, discernment, and precision. It is not wielded in rage, but in righteous duty. It does not seek blood, it seeks restoration. In temple art and scripture, the chakra is often shown alongside Vishnu's other symbols, the conch, the lotus, and the mace. But it is the chakra that captures the imagination, a weapon that is also a wheel that is also an eye that sees through falsehood.
The trident is more than a symbol of the sea god. In mythology, it was described as a cosmic tool, a weapon capable of reshaping the world. With a single strike, Poseidon could calm the waves, turning violent oceans into glass. With another, he could unleash storms so powerful they erased entire fleets from existence. Some legends even claim the trident could shake the earth, split continents, and pull mountains beneath the sea. But here's where it gets strange. The three-pronged weapon doesn't appear in just Greek mythology. Similar symbols show up in India, Rome, Japan, Mesopotamia, and even ancient island tribes. Different cultures, different languages, yet the same design and the same meaning. A divine tool that controls nature. So what did all these civilizations see? Was it a shared myth? A memory of a real event? Or was something so massive and terrifying roaming the ancient world that every culture had no choice but to record it? Sailors feared the trident more than anything. A calm sea meant Poseidon was watching. A sudden storm meant he was angry. And shipwrecks? Those were warnings, reminders that humans do not rule the oceans.
The trident represents power that humans were never meant to control. If one mythical weapon could influence the seas, destroy lands, and bend nature itself, then the weapons yet to come may be far more dangerous and far more mysterious.
Not all legendary weapons are about honor or destiny or divine right. Some are designed for one purpose only, to end lives with cruel, surgical certainty. And in Celtic mythology, no weapon embodies that purpose more than bolg, the spear of the hero Cuchulainn. This was not a noble weapon. It was said to be made from the bone of a sea monster, carved with spells and cursed to always find its mark. Once thrown, it could not be dodged. Once it struck, it could not be removed without tearing the victim apart. The myths described bolg in almost biological terms. When thrown, it would travel along a straight, undeniable path, but when thrust in close combat, it would branch inside the body, spreading into 30 barbed points, shredding flesh and organ from within. There was no surviving it, only a slow, agonizing end. What's chilling is how matter-of-factly these stories treat such brutality. bolg wasn't a weapon of evil, it was a tool of war, wielded by a hero. It asks an uncomfortable question. Is a weapon defined by its design or by the hands that hold it? Cuchulainn himself is a figure of tragic duality, a demigod of immense power, bound by codes of honor, yet capable of volcanic rage. bolg reflects that duality, a weapon of precision, yet of grotesque violence, a tool of protection, yet of horrific suffering. Some scholars suggest bolg represents an ancient understanding of ballistic inevitability, the idea that some strikes are simply fate. Others see it as a metaphor for the point of no return in battle, the moment when conflict turns from contest to carnage. But in the end, bolg remains one of mythology's most brutally efficient weapons. It doesn't judge worthiness, it doesn't choose sides, it only does what it was made to do: kill without failure and without mercy.
Imagine sitting on a throne, a feast in front of you, servants, music, luxury, everything a ruler could ever dream of. And above your head, a razor-sharp sword hangs by a single, fragile horsehair. That is the sword of Damocles. This weapon isn't famous for slaying enemies, or for its magical powers, or for being wielded by a great warrior. No, its power comes from the fear it creates just by existing. The story goes like this. Damocles was a man who envied the king. He believed that ruling meant effortless luxury, endless wealth, and constant praise. So the king decided to teach him a lesson. He invited Damocles to sit on his throne, to enjoy the food, the attention, the royal comfort. But while Damocles sat there, basking in glory, the king quietly placed a sword above his head, tied by a single, fragile horsehair. The message was simple. Power always comes with danger. The higher you rise, the sharper the blade above you becomes. What makes the sword of Damocles so terrifying is that it doesn't need to move. It doesn't need magic. It doesn't need strength. Its power is psychological, the fear of what might happen. This sword represents the weight of responsibility, the fear of betrayal, the constant danger that every ruler, every leader, every powerful figure lives with. A weapon that kills with tension, not steel. A weapon that teaches more than it destroys. A weapon that reminds us that even the greatest throne in the world comes with a shadow hanging right above it.
In the pantheon of mythical weapons, few carry as much symbolic weight with so little physical presence. The vajra is not a sword, not a spear, not a hammer. It is a short ritual object, often depicted as a metal rod with curved ends, sometimes with flames or lotus motifs. But in Buddhist and Hindu tradition, it is one of the most potent symbols of spiritual power ever conceived. Its name means both thunderbolt and diamond, unbreakable clarity and unstoppable force combined into one. The vajra represents indestructibility, not of body,
but of mind. It is the weapon that cuts through ignorance, shatters delusion, and reveals ultimate truth. In myth, it is wielded by deities like Indra, king of the gods, and by enlightened beings who have mastered their own inner nature. Striking with the vajra does not draw blood. It shatters illusion. It does not kill enemies. It dissolves attachment. What's fascinating is how the vajra evolved from a weapon of war into a tool of meditation. In Tantric Buddhism, it is held during rituals alongside a bell, the vajra representing compassion, the bell representing wisdom. Together, they symbolize the unity of means and insight, of power and peace. Unlike other weapons in our series, the vajra's danger is not outward but inward. It is a weapon turned upon the self, upon ego, upon fear, upon the veils that keep us from seeing reality as it is. Architecturally, the vajra appears in mandalas, on temple gates, and in the hands of statues sitting in eternal calm. It is both a weapon and a jewel, a destroyer and a revealer. This brings us to a profound idea, that the most powerful weapons in mythology are not those that can level cities, but those that can transform consciousness.